Guys, it's Monday. It's May the 9th. Already. We're already like a third of the way through May. Time flies when you're having fun. Including today, guys, we got 4 more Mondays. 3 more after this. Which means there's only 4 more only Tuesdays left in the year. And you know what? That's what I'm excited about. Only 4 more only Tuesdays. But we are starting our final unit today. Oh, I don't know about a quizzes code, Larry. I wouldn't worry about it. The quizzes aren't for grades, man. So wouldn't focus my attention on it. Those are just for like review and stuff. There's our Pear Deck link. We're going to start 5.1, kind of combine the intro with the first unit, or the first lesson, I should say, because the workbook's just like a video and a couple questions. So I figured it would be easier to do it this way. A few announcements. Let's go over. Hopefully you got a chance to see. Okay, Larry, I see. The last day of school is June the 3rd, man. Hopefully we'll see today's announcement. Again, I hope your weekend was full of relaxation and good vibes. Remember, guys, there will be no live class tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to be out. I will pre-record the lesson later today and post it for you. Okay, so just make sure you log on at 10:30 like you normally would. Watch the pre-recorded lesson. Tuesdays, Rose. Tuesday. Watch the pre-recorded lesson. That way you get the attendance credit for it, and then do the workbook for the day. Okay, it'll be workbook 5.2. Wednesday, we're going to shift things up just a tad. Again, just because of, we're running out of time, and I don't want to, I've condensed this unit as far as I can condense it to keep it, make it all make sense. And really just like this day, maybe the next couple Wednesdays, you're gonna have a workbook to do. But I will pre-record the lesson. So rather than watching an Ed Puzzle video or doing a class discussion, you just gotta watch the quick recording and do the workbook. Easy, lemon peasy. Don't forget Unit 4 assessment letter from Birmingham Jail. It's worth 75 points. Some of you guys turned it in. Some of you guys turned it in only half answered, and that's going to hurt if you don't redo that. But that's due Wednesday. And then the corresponding discussion, that MLK quote analysis, the 25 points where you read that quote and you answered the sentence stems on it, and you got 5 points for answering each question, each sentence stem, and then you got 5 points for just following all the directions. Totaling 25 points. That's also due Wednesday. And then here's our agenda for the week. We're going to be talking about the moon landing today, Nixon's foreign policy tomorrow, Nixon's energy crisis on Wednesday, Watergate on Thursday, and then we'll finish out the 1970s with Carter's foreign policy on Friday the 13th. All right. Any questions about that? Comments, concerns? There's that Pear Deck link one more time. Let's talk about Unit 5.1, Cold War to Superpowers, the name of this unit. And we're gonna talk about the moon landing. But Foist, where's our stress level today? Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I'm at about a 1 today. I'm feeling good. The sun's out. So the weather this whole week is supposed to be nice. I'm really hoping the weather this weekend clears up and it doesn't just rain all weekend after like 5 straight days of sunshine and good vibes. But as far as the weather, like let's roll it through the weekend. Yeah, same here, Ben. Bring it on. I'm ready. I'm sick of the rain. Get some sunshine. I know it's Ohio, but let's get some sunshine and some good, outside weather. Where are we at this Monday? Remember, it's Monday. It's our It's our first opportunity to hang out. There's 50 of us in here and only 14 in that Pear Deck. So there's that link one more time. Go ahead and log in for me. And guys, much of today's lesson is going to be a review of a Unit 3 lesson, honestly. We're going to be doing a lot of review. We're going to be doing a lot of review from the Cold War races lesson from back before we took the EOC. Okay, but just again, some important vocab. Again, it's all review. The arms race, which is where the United States and Russia compete for technological and nuclear supremacy. Sputnik, that first space satellite launched by Russia. NASA, the Truman Doctrine, which is wherever communism pops up, the United States is going to be there to fight against it in any way possible. And then, a lot of this is fueled by the Red Scare in the 1950s. Our learning target today, by the end, you should be able to say, I can assess the importance of the United States landing someone on the moon by placing it in the context of the Cold War. Okay, so we've been talking about civil rights and the 1960s and 50s and Martin Luther King and all that stuff, but it's important to remember and to keep in mind in that grand scheme of U.S. history, right, that civil rights era is happening. All of that stuff is happening in the midst of the Cold War. The Cold War is really what's going on, the United States reacting to everything going on outside of its borders. The civil rights movement is what's going on inside of its borders, right? So it's happening domestically. The Cold War is what's happening internationally. So just for context and to kind of place us where we are, we're kind of going out into that wide scope again. All right. So here's some big ideas from Unit 5, right? We're going to look at the Apollo space missions today and discuss kind of the impact of them. We're going to talk about Watergate and the increasing public distrust of the government in this unit. We're going to look at foreign and domestic policies of Jimmy Carter's administration in the late 70s into the 80s, particularly around the energy crisis with oil, nuclear incidents with 3 Mile Island, problems in the Middle East that are still going on today. We're going to look at the foreign and domestic policies of Ronald Reagan through the 80s. Really the Cold War strategy, again, that conflict in the Middle East. We're going to look at the foreign and domestic policies of George H.W. Bush to finish out the 80s and into the 90s. And then we'll look at Clinton. And the rest of the 90s, we'll look at the problematic election of the year 2000. And then, guys, we'll finish up the year by talking about the election of Barack Obama and some of his policies. Okay? And, guys, that should take us to about May 27th, from today to May 27th. And then that last week, we'll all just be makeup and work and hanging out and, getting caught up. Okay? Does that sound good, everybody? Real quick, what's your thoughts? Tell me your thoughts. What do you think about Unit 5? You excited for it? Sound interesting? I always liked this unit. I always liked learning this unit in school because it was just like a lot of this stuff was either stuff that I saw growing up as a kid in the 90s and early 2000s, or it was stuff that my parents told me about. It's stuff that they lived through and they saw, or it's stuff that I would see like in movies or in TV because, a lot of TV and stuff that's coming out now, it's taking on stuff that was happening like 20 years ago, right? So when I was a kid, like this is stuff 20, 30 years prior. So I always kind of felt like a closer connection to this part of history. Just because it was the most recent and really a lot of the stuff that happens during this period is, the domino that knocks over the events that are happening now, right? I'll give you guys another second or so. Take a look at some of these answers. A lot of us think it's going to be interesting, cool, seems fun. That's good. I hope so. I hope you guys enjoy this unit. Again, there's that Pear Deck link one more time for you. All right, so just a quick recap. During the presidencies of the 1970s, we're going to have 3 presidents from 1970 to 1980. Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter. Ronald Reagan will take over in the 80s. George H.W. Bush will take over in 1988. And during this time, during these 5 presidencies from 1970 to 1990, we're going to still have some tense relations with Russia. And throughout the 1960s, Russia is going to continually beat the United States in achieving milestones when it comes to space technology. But in 1969, the United States remarkably is going to beat the Soviet Union in the most important space event, landing somebody on the moon. We're going to see Nixon's presidency come to an end, and it's going to end in disgrace with the Watergate scandal. The country is going to experience more setbacks with the Iran-Contra scandal and hostage crisis in Iran in 1979, which is what's going to lead to decades of animosity that we're still dealing with today. We're going to see the Ronald Reagan presidency usher in a new era of economic, political, and cultural conservatism in America. If you look at conservatism today, i.e. the Republican Party platform and much of their values, much of what they're fighting for, much of what their talking points are, all of it, 100% of the Republican platform can be traced back to Ronald Reagan. He's going to come in and completely transform the party and get it started on this conservative outlook that we see today. Well, the country is rocked by another political scandal, which is going to lead, we're going to talk about President Clinton and his impeachment and a lot of other stuff that revolve around the new millennium, the coming into the year 2000. Guys, people were terrified, building bomb shelters. Everybody thought that the Y2K was gonna get them. And if anybody know about Y2K? Anybody know about that? Parents ever talk about it? Grandparents ever talk about Y2K? Carissa, you know about it? Larry, you've never. So the idea was, guys, you have to keep in mind, right? The internet is invented and it becomes commercialized to everybody in the 90s. Like 1995, 96 is when like regular people start getting home computers, like desktop computers that were these big honking things, and plugging in their phone lines, their landlines, and getting dial-up internet, right, for the first time. And everything was being switched from doing it on like pen and paper to computers and digital. And the big fear was that, these computers weren't advanced enough that when the year 2000 happened on all the bank stuff, it wasn't going to register the change from 1999 to 2000. It was just going to revert it back to 1900. And everybody was going to lose all this banking information, and no electronics were going to work, and it was going to be everybody back in the Stone Age. But it never happened. But let's talk about the 1960s. Let's go back. Remember, during this time, we're involved in an arms race with Russia, right? We're building nuclear weapons as fast as we can to compete with Russia, who's building nuclear weapons of their own. Russia finally built a bomb in 1949. Truman calls for development of the hydrogen bomb, right? We start having very deep concerns over Soviet technology, and we start doing nuclear bomb drills in school where everybody, they go flash and kids would hide under their desk. We start building long-range bombers, and we find out at the end it was all exaggerated, right? But, we have this deep fear of nuclear war with Russia. Sounds like 2022. He's got his Pip Boy, Spencer. But we know in October of 1957, Russia launches the first ever artificial satellite into space, Sputnik 1. And everybody was like freaking out, losing their minds over this basketball-sized satellite that just sent back radio signals, right? And nobody was expecting Russia to be able to do this in such a short amount of time after developing an atomic bomb. And not long after, the United States launches a satellite, and this is what's going to kick off the space race. But first, after the launching of Sputnik, we're going to blame the U.S. education system for the United States not being first. So we're going to overhaul school. And we're going to basically put an emphasis on math and science and STEM and things like that. For the first time, math and science are going to be the main core subjects. Congress in 1958 is going to pass the National Aeronautics and Space Act. It's going to create NASA. And by the end of the 60s, the United States is going to take, its step into the space race. And again, guys, I literally copied these 3 slides from or 4 slides from that Unit 3 lesson. Because of the growing fear of communism, because of the result of McCarthyism, right, those communist witch hunts, coupled with the launch of Sputnik, again, fear among Americans were what else the Soviets could launch. Let's see. The Soviets launch Sputnik 2 into space, which is going to contain a dog that doesn't come back. They kill a dog. The Soviets are going to boast the first spacewalk, the first spacecraft to orbit the moon, the first one to make contact with the moon, the first unmanned craft to land on the moon, and the first spacecraft to impact Venus. So, how many of you remember this information from Unit 3? You guys remember this? Remember talking about this? And this should all just be review for you. We already talked about all this. We already did all this. That's why we just blew through these slides. Cool. Most of us. Some of us are like, kind of, or maybe I came into Odella later in the year after you did this, but I've heard this stuff before, and that's cool. And if you're in that boat, all this stuff's on Canvas still. Everything is available. So if you want to go back and find it, you can. But in 1961, President John F. Kennedy is going to challenge the nation to land astronauts on the moon by the end of the decade. So NASA is going to meet the challenge with what they call the Apollo program. Okay, it's going to be the first time humans are going to leave Earth's orbit and visit another world. These missions are going to make it possible to explore more distant worlds further in the future. Project Apollo's, yes, I can. Project Apollo's goals went beyond landing Americans on the moon and returning them safely to Earth. And the goals of that mission were this. They established the technology to meet other national interests in space. They achieved preeminence in space for the United States, meaning we landed on the moon first, so we claimed the moon for the United States. It's one of those things. And y'all with your moon conspiracies. Actually, all this stuff came from NASA, the NASA website. The other parts were carrying out scientific programs and experiments on the moon and exploring the moon and developing the human capability to work in lunar environments. During the Apollo missions, American astronauts made a total of 11 space flights. They walked on the moon. The first 4 flights tested the equipment of the Apollo program. 6 of the other 7 flights landed on the moon. Most famously, the one that didn't was Apollo 13. The first Apollo flight happened in 1968. The first moon landing took place in 1969 with Apollo 11. The last moon landing was in 1972. A total of 12 astronauts walked on the moon. The astronauts conducted scientific research there. They studied the lunar surface. They collected moon rocks. And the United States is officially going to win the space race by landing on the moon first. And then we're going to finish it up with this video of Neil Armstrong. Let's see, why am I seeing this? Where's my share? Why can't I share this? There it is. Walking on the moon. They're trying to, yeah. Guys, it costs a lot of money. A lot of money. And guys, I want you to keep in mind, okay? Just think about this. The guys that landed this lunar module, the computer system in that lunar module had less calculating ability than those graphing calculators you use in algebra. Okay. All of this stuff was done with mental math on pen and paper. It just the amount of complex calculations that people had to do in their head. It's just a testament to human capability. And it's expensive. We already know what's there. We did a bunch of research. Why would you, why spend the money and resources to continue being there? And as you can see, that flag was not waving. Wasn't on a set. Well, it's 1960s TV, guys. You guys are doing conspiracy theories. All right. Your assignment today. Workbook 5.1, the moon landing. Okay. All the workbooks for the week are published and posted. Have you seen the footprint on the moon, Marianne? Or did you Google it until you found the information you wanted that fit your narrative? Girl, that's called confirmation bias. You don't have to. Nobody's saying you have to. Hashtag moon hate. All right, guys, so that's today. Again, don't forget target sessions at 12:30 and 2:30 today. No live classes tomorrow. No target sessions tomorrow. That doesn't mean if you need help, you can't reach out. Okay, send me a message. Let me know. I'll do my best to get back to you. But I'm going to be out tomorrow. If you need an assignment list, let me know so I can make one up for you and send that out to you. We have 4 weeks. 4 weeks left. So, this is the time. If you're behind, this is the time. If you need help, this is the time to self-advocate and let me know where you're struggling, what I can do for you. Jaheim, you need one? Gotcha. Note here for you. And Marianne, you need one? Didn't I just make you one? Bye, Marianne.